Palace on what's turning into a rather fine afternoon for this afternoon's events.
Who has an itch to be filthy rich? Who has a hoot for a lot of loot? Who longs to live a life of perfect ease and be swamped by necessary luxuries? Who wants to be a millionaire?
Join the millions watching the Epsom Derby live on Saturday from 1 on BBC One.
If a familiar face asked you a favour, how far would you go?
Come, Mr. Pigeon, come.
This far?
Take your jumper off. Do you mind? No. Right.
This far?
They're nice, those trousers. I'll give you a fiver for them.
Or all the way?
I'll rub yours if you'll rub mine.
Famous names, outrageous challenges, remotely funny news to Saturday night at 5 to 7 on BBC One.
Holiday Tuesday on BBC One, and the lunchtime news now from Darren Jordan.
Good afternoon. The Queen continued her Golden Jubilee celebrations in spectacular style today with a ceremonial procession through the streets of London. Huge crowds lined the route as a state gold coach took the Queen and Prince Philip from Buckingham Palace to St Paul's Cathedral for a service of thanksgiving. Our royal correspondent Jenny Bond was there.
Was back to pomp and pageantry today as the Gold State coach rolled out through the gates. 24 feet long and weighing 4 tons, it's been used only twice before in the Queen's reign, at her coronation and her Silver Jubilee. Accompanied by a wave of music along the route, the Jubilee Girl, as she was christened at last night's concert, looked pleased with herself and with the resounding success of the celebration so far. Riding escort, Prince Charles, who last night spoke proudly of his mother as a beacon of stability in the midst of change. Also on horseback, the Princess Royal. Other members of the family, including the Duke of York with William and Harry, were in the carriage procession. At St Paul's Cathedral, the most formal event of this weekend of festivities, a service of thanksgiving attended by 2,500 people. The Archbishop of Canterbury echoed the words of Prince Charles as he paid tribute to the Queen's abiding constancy.
Today, at the height of another Elizabethan reign, we may speak again of love and glory and of the steadfastness of a faithful sovereign. Here now in this great cathedral, we give thanks, Your Majesty, for your devotion and dedication over 50 extraordinary years.
And this day of spectacle for the crowds goes on through the afternoon. Next stop for the Queen, Guildhall for a Jubilee lunch.
Jenny, the crowds have turned out in force. They're behind you again today. They must be looking forward to the big pageant later.
Yes, you can see the party is still going on here. They say there's 700,000 people and rising, almost on a scale of last night. Incidentally, 20 million people apparently watched that concert on television or live. I think the key to it all really has been the music. They're loving it. And this afternoon, a pageant, 20,000 people coming down the Mall, music all the way. And then, of course, there's going to be a fly past, including Concorde, and the traditional balcony appearance by the royal family. It's not over yet.
Jenny, indeed. Thank you very much. Extra police officers are being drafted in to tackle sectarian violence in East Belfast. At least 4 people, including a policeman, were shot last night. The police say 13 shots were fired at them. 19 of their officers were injured.
The gunmen from both sides are back on the streets. The latest violence was the worst in years in this area. 19 police officers were injured, and one of them was among 4 people shot and wounded. The police say they returned fire, hitting a loyalist gunman. The police chief for Belfast said paramilitaries on both sides had been orchestrating the violence.
On the loyalist side, we clearly have UDA and UVF elements involved. And on the nationalist side, we've seen large numbers of Republicans from other areas of the city, some senior members of the IRA in the area, and we believe that they're involved in organising the street violence on their side.
6 people have been shot and wounded in the last 2 nights, a marked escalation on recent street disturbances. And this at a time when both the UVF and the IRA are maintaining ceasefires. Dennis Murray, BBC News, Belfast.
The Metropolitan Police is considering recruiting officers from abroad to fill massive gaps in the force. It's hoping to attract black and Asian officers from Commonwealth countries. Nearly 7,000 new recruits are needed. Diplomatic efforts to arrange a face-to-face meeting between the leaders of India and Pakistan have failed. The Indian Prime Minister, Atal Bihari Vajpayee, and Pakistan's President Pervez Musharraf have blamed each other for the tensions over Kashmir. At the World Cup finals, China have made their debut. They've never reached the final stages before, but to the disappointment of their millions of fans, they lost tamely to Costa Rica. Second-half goal from Ronald Gomez and this header from Mauricio Wright sealed victory for the Costa Ricans. And as worse to come for China, they play Brazil next. The co-host Japan thought they'd kicked off with a win thanks to a great goal from the Arsenal striker Inamoto. But a late equaliser made the final score Japan 2, Belgium 2. The other host nation, South Korea, are playing Poland, and with 20 minutes gone, the score is 0-0, but the Koreans did come close to scoring from a corner. That's it. Don't forget there are news bulletins every hour over on BBC News 24. I'll be back with more news at 6:15 here on BBC One. Bye for now.
Good afternoon. Yes, trouble is brewing. It should stay mostly dry for the 5 past later today, but it's pretty miserable across Northern Ireland. Heavy showers through Scotland, western parts of England and Wales. But look at what's brewing across southern France. A cluster of thunderstorms, a developing area of low pressure, which will swing torrential rain into the southeast and East Anglia by the end of the night, and that will push northwestwards through tomorrow. Gale force winds accompanying that rain, but the Met Office have now issued an early warning for severe weather for the rain, because we could have some flash flooding with such large amounts of rain falling in such a short space of time. So certainly some treacherous conditions across eastern England in the morning, and that rain will gradually spill up across northern England, very wet across the Pennines into the afternoon, Scotland too. The drier, brighter, warmer weather further south and west, but pretty cold for the coming few days down the east coast with those easterly winds. A pretty miserable day in store.
Pilot spots flying infant at 30,000 feet. Toddler talks tough. Behind the headlines lies the unbelievable truth. Mild-mannered George Sunday and his wife hide an amazing secret.
Uh-oh, looks like a job for Thermo Man.
But now they've got a pint-sized sidekick.
Love you, Mummy.
Who could blow their cover.
Why have you got a hole in your door?
I'm making a baby flat.
Odler Hanlon is My Hero. The new series starts Friday at 8:30 on BBC One.
This is BBC One for the Midlands.
Good afternoon, I'm Michael Collie. The parents of a 7-year-old boy who died from a brain tumour say they want an independent inquiry into his death. The parents of Matthew Cook say they asked hospital doctors for a brain scan but were continually assured he only had a headache. More details from Satnam Rana.
Matthew Cook from Solihull was being treated for asthma when he complained of severe headaches. His parents pleaded for a brain scan, but he was sent home with just paracetamol tablets.
The eventual diagnosis was so far removed from what they were claiming, it just beggars belief as far as we're concerned.
Matthew was a pupil at Kingshurst Junior School in Birmingham. His parents say they can't believe the way his case was handled at the city's Heartlands Hospital.
I don't think that the situation was treated seriously enough. Nobody ever has to go through what we've gone through in the last sort of week or so. Words cannot begin to describe our feelings, the range of emotions that we've gone through. We feel that Matthew would have had a fighting chance if the tumour had been diagnosed, if a scan had been done.
Matthew never recovered from an emergency operation. Heartlands Hospital have offered their condolences and have promised to cooperate with an inquiry.
The family of the journalist who's been held in prison in Pakistan say they hope he'll be returning home today. Amaddeep Bassi from Wolverhampton was taken into custody nearly a month ago on allegations of spying. His employers at the Birmingham-based Sunday Mercury believe that after several promises of his impending release, this time he really will be heading home. The Midlands weather this afternoon should stay generally sunny, maybe a few showers to come this afternoon, but a pleasant top temperature of 17 Celsius. Now this evening at 6:35, a special Midlands Today as we bring together the final day of Jubilee celebrations here in the Midlands. We'll be finding out what it takes to put together a Jubilee party, and we'll be live in Centenary Square in Birmingham. That's Midlands Today at 6:35 here on BBC One. Do join me then. For now, have a good afternoon. Bye-bye.
Dawn of a new era. Voices silenced.
Searching round for a woman's cause, Annie found one in the teenage match girls.
Spirit crushed. Talent overlooked.
My poor Mary Barton is stirring up angry feelings against me.
While women fought for their rights, the ultimate power denied them. Simon Schama's History of Britain, the final chapter, continues tonight at 9 on BBC Two and the web.
This is BBC One returning to today's Golden Jubilee celebrations now as Her Majesty the Queen's historic journey moves on to the Guildhall Banquet.